Hi guys, this is Ashley back with Loomfinity, and I'm here today to show you how to make Clarabelle the cow from, she's a Disney character. You see her on like Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I made her today. To make her you will need about 64 skin tone colored bands, 32 red, 52, I used the neon green for her bow and her hat. If you do not have Rainbow Loom neon green, you can use regular green if you need to. And you'll need about 40 white, 52 black. For her shoes, I used the neon orange, and I used 18 to make the shoes. If you don't have those, you can use a regular orange or even a yellow if you would like. Clarabelle, the cow, she's one of the characters Disney has that changes her outfits a lot. So this just happens to be the outfit that I went for when I was creating her. So if you want to collect your supplies, we can go ahead and get started. The first part we're going to create is the top portion of her mouth, and we'll be using skin tone bands in order to do that. And you're going to be in the staggered configuration. You're starting with 2 skin tone bands on the left, and you're going to come down 3 times. And you're going to repeat that on the right hand side as well with 2 skin tone bands coming down 3 times. We are then going to go from the 4th peg on the right to the 5th peg in the center at an angle, just like that. And repeat that on the 4th peg on the left to the 5th center peg. And then we're going to just go ahead and fill in the center row, starting on the top center pin, and just come straight down with 2 skin tone bands. And this is what you should have. Now we're going to cap off the bottom here, creating 3 loops with a single skin tone band. So 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to place some crossover bands. So starting on the 2nd pin down, taking a single skin tone band, you're going to double it and create your triangle. The next one is going to be a single half double. So in order to do that, you just create a single triangle, twist across this peg here, and bring it back in only to the center. So you end up with a half triangle on the 2nd. And then for the last 3 pegs here on the 4th peg down, creating a single triangle. Now we also need to create the portion of her snout, and in order to do that, you're going to take a single black band on your hook, and you're going to create 4 loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to do that again, taking another single black, creating 4 loops. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then taking a single skin tone band, I'm going to pull those in place. And we are going to place this on the 4th peg down straight across. You then want to separate the 2 sets of bands onto each side. So I'm pushing 1 looped band on the in between the left 2 pegs and 1 over here between these right. Just like that. And once we've done that, we can begin looping. So we're going to go in through the capping band, grabbing the first 2 bands. Just like I always say, hold your capping band, and I didn't do it. Let me put this back in place. Okay, so holding down my capping band, I'm going to bring my first two forward. Going back in, grabbing the next two, mine are going to go over to the left, and my next two are going over and to the right. And I'm just going to go ahead and loom straight up on the right side. And then I'm going to loom up the center. Make sure when you go through this band with that half double, don't go on the outside. Make sure you go through the center of that half double band. And I'm going to grab a holding hook. Now when we remove the snout, we do not want to stick our hooks through the top, because then when you attach it to her face it would be upside down. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen this up. And if you've done the Ducks series and Tigger, for example, you'll know what I'm talking about here. We want to remove this from underneath. So you're going to take your hook and go in underneath the bands to pull them off the peg. I don't know why I chose a plastic hook for this. Okay, just like that. That way when we place it on her face, we will be placing it on face up. And then if you want to, you can go ahead and fix this now or wait until she is all off the loom in one piece. But you want to just push the nostril pieces back through to the top for her snout. And that is the top of the mouth. Now we're going to go ahead and make the bottom portion, and you're starting on the top of the loom with 2 skin tone bands coming down once, 2 more on the right, and then taking 2 skin tone bands, and I'm going from the second pin on the right to the third center pin at a diagonal, and I'm going to do that again, going from the left second to center third pin. 2 more skin tone bands from the second left pin to the second, or to the third left pin. And doing that again from the right second to right third pin. Going from the right third to the center fourth pin at an angle. And the left third to center fourth pin also at an angle. And then we're going to fill in the center with 2 more skin tone bands from the third center pin to the fourth center pin. And we're just going to cap this off, creating 3 loops. I'm then taking a single skin tone band, and I'm going to place crossover bands on the second pins down from left to right. Taking a single, you're going to double it, and you're just going to come straight across. So we're not creating a triangle, you're just going to go from the left to the right pin. And we're going to do that again on the third pin, taking a single, double it, and go straight across. And now we can go ahead and begin looping. So go in through the capping band, grabbing the first 2, and bringing this one forward. I'm going to go ahead now in through that third center pin, grabbing my first 2 bands, and I'm going to bring those over. Mine go to the left, and my next 2 go to the right. Now I'm going to go back through the capping band, grabbing my next 2 bands. Mine go to the left, and I'm going to go ahead and loop up the left-hand side. And we'll repeat that again, going through the capping band, grabbing my last 2, they go to the right. and looping up the right hand side. Now this is the bottom of the mouth, so we do want to remove this one from the top. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen this up. Taking my holding hook and just go ahead and grab the top two bands here and pull this off the loom. And this is the bottom portion of her mouth. So we'll go ahead and set that aside for later. The next thing I'm going to show you how to create is her arm. I have already made one, so I'll show you how to make one and then just pause the video to make a second one. Starting on the top left of the loom, you're going to come down with 2 red bands twice. And then we're switching and you're coming down with 2 black bands 2 times. Then we're going to create her hand, and to do that we'll be using white gloves, white bands to create gloves. And on your hook you're going to take a single white and create 4 loops. Taking another single white, you're going to double it and feed those 4 loops into place. Reclaim the other side, take another single white, double it, and then feed that through and reclaim the other side, and then push that down on your hook. We're going to repeat those steps again. So taking a single white, creating 4 loops, taking another single, double it, taking another single and double, and we're going to do that one more time. So taking a single white, creating my 4 loops, taking another single white and doubling it, taking another single white and doubling that one as well. Now I'm going to take a single white and double it, and I'm going to feed all 3 fingers onto that single doubled band and reclaim the other side and straighten it out. And then we are going to place this at the bottom of the black because it is the hand, and it will also be used as our capping band. Once that is in place, we can begin looping. So go through the hand and hold the fingers down, grabbing my 2 black bands and bringing those up, and I'm just going to loop straight up. And then grab a holding hook, remove that, and set it aside for later. So go ahead and pause the video, make a second arm, and we'll continue on. The next portion that we're going to create are her horns. I've already created one. I'll show you how to make one. If you need to, pause the video to make a second one. This can be created on the hook, and all you're going to do is you're going to take a single white, and I'm going to create 4 loops on my hook, and I'm then going to do what's called a double double. So you're taking 2 white bands, and we're going to stretch them and double them over, and I'm going to feed those 4 bands on there, pull it to the center, and reclaim the other side. And I'm going to do that again. So I'm taking 2 white bands and I'm going to double them and feed that in place as well. And doing that one more time. So taking 2 more white bands, doubling them over, and feeding them through. Or you can loop all the bands. Okay, so I also wanted to show you though how you can do this if you're unable to do it on the loop, on the hook, because sometimes when you're doing a double band, they are so tight that some people just can't maneuver around the hook. So I'm going to show you how to make this on the loom as well. So you're going to start on the top of the loom with, again, 2 bands. You're going to double them over, and you're coming down from the first to the second pin. I'm going to do that again, another double double from the second to third, and then 2 more from the third to the fourth double double, and then go ahead and cap it off, creating 4 loops. And you would then go in through your capping band, holding it down because with the amount of band you're pulling through it'll pop off, and then just loom straight up to the top. Just like that. Grab your holding hook, and remove it and set it aside for later. So either way you choose to do it, you can. So go ahead and pause the video, make a second horn, and we can move on. The final piece that we're going to create is her foot and her shoe. We are starting on the top of the loom on the center peg. We're coming down once from the center first to second with 2 black bands. Then I'm moving over to the neon orange. I'm taking a single neon orange from the center second to the left second pin. I'm going to single double. And I'm going to repeat that again, going to the right. Coming down the left hand side with a single neon orange once with a single double. And doing that again on the right. We're then going to create a long angle, so we're going from the third pin down on the left, and you're going to stretch to this pin here, which is the 5th center pin. So it's a long angle. You're going to take a single and double it, going from that left third to center 5th pin. And I'm going to repeat that on the right, so taking a single and double it, go from the right third to the center 5th pin. I then want to fill in this section. I'll be using double black bands, so taking 2 black bands, going from the center second to center 3rd pin, 2 more black from the center 3rd to center 4th, and 2 more black from the center 4th to center 5th. I then want to add in 1 more here, so taking a single neon orange, I'm going to double it and come down from the center 5th to center 6th pin. We're going to go ahead and cap this off, creating 4 loops. We're going to place 1 crossover band, so taking a single neon orange from the 3rd pin on the left to the 3rd pin on the right, I'm going to single double and come straight across. I'm then going to take my hook and wrap this up over the center 3rd pin and bring the bottom down over the center 4th pin, just like that. Once all of this is in place, we can begin looping. So we're going to go through the capping band, grabbing the bottom 2 neon orange and bringing those forward. Going in, I'm going to grab the first 2 black and bring those forward. I do not want to continue up through the black just yet. We want to loom the outside first because she has on a slip type shoe, so we want the black to be showing. If we were to loom the black up and then the orange, this is what you end up with, and the shoe crosses back over the top. We don't want that to happen. So we're going to go in, grabbing our first 2 bands. Mine go to the right, and they will be pretty tight because they're single doubled and they're stretched further than a normal angle, so just be careful when you're pulling them. And I'm going to go ahead and loop up the left side, and we're going to stop on that 2nd center pin. I'm going to repeat this on the right. And now I'm just going to go back down and loop straight up the center with my black. I'm going to go ahead and loosen this up because the bands down here are pretty tight. And then just grab a holding hook and pop the shoe off. Now it's going to bow through the bottom. All you want to do is grab this tip and stretch it out some to fix the foot. So go ahead and pause the video, make a second shoe, and then we can continue. Okay, the next part that I'm going to show you how to make is her bow, and I'm using the neon green for that. And I'm going to start in the center pin here, taking a single neon green. I'm going to double it, coming down from the 1st to 2nd pin. I'm then taking 2 neon green bands. I'm going from the second center pin to the left second pin. And I'm going to do the same thing on the second center to the right second pin. I'm sorry. And then we're just going to cap these off right here, creating 4 loops. So you're capping off the second left pin and the second right pin. Okay, there's a reason that I shouldn't be trying to do this right-handed, because I am not right-handed. Okay, so once we've done that, we're going to go ahead and just loop this up. So we're going to go through the capping band, grabbing those bottom 2 bands and bringing it over to the center, and I'm going to go through here and do the same thing. I'm then going to go in, grabbing my single double band and pull that over. Now I don't want to remove this just yet. So I'm going to loosen this up off of the pegs on the 2 sides, and I'm going to pull off that, but I don't want to come off that pin there. I'm going to pull this around like that. Now I'm going to repeat the process again, so I'm going to take another single double, going from the first to second pin, taking 2 neon greens from the center second to right or left second pin, and the same thing from the center second to right second pin, and then capping off the 2 corners. And I'm trying to do this right-handed again in an attempt to not be twisting my loom all over the screen. I don't know how long I'll be able to keep doing that. And then go in, grab and loop up, go through your capping bands. And I'm going to just loosen up this side for now. I am then going to take a single neon green and I'm going to double it. I am going to stick my hook through this top pin. I'm going to grab one end of that and pull that up and through, and then reclaim the other side. Now I can pop these off, and I'm just going to set them aside on a holding hook for later. We do not want to slip knot this off, otherwise it'll be too loose on the top of her head. So let me just switch this. So again, just put it on a holding hook and set that aside. Now that we have done most of our attachment pieces, we can go ahead and begin working on the body. So I'm starting on the top of the loom. I'm in the staggered configuration, and for her body I'll be using double bands unless I specify otherwise. So I'm coming from the center top pin out to the left with 2 black bands, and I'm going to do that again going to the right. I'm then coming down the left hand side twice with 2 black bands and repeating that on the right hand side. And then I'm going to come down the center from the center first to center second with 2 black bands, and the center second to center third with 2 black bands as well. And I'm now going to switch over to my skin tone colored bands. So I'm coming down once on the left from the third to fourth with 2 skin tone bands, repeating that on the right. Then coming in at an angle from the left 4th pin to center 5th pin to create the chin, and repeating that also on the right. And then I'm going to fill in the remaining 2 sections of the center with skin tone colored bands. Now moving down into the neck will have 3 bands, 3 black bands, going from that center 5th to center 6th pin. And then I'm going to go back to double banding. So coming off of the neck with 2 red bands, I'm coming out at an angle to create the shoulder. And I'm going to repeat that going to the right. And I then want to come down the left-hand side 3 times with 2 red bands. And I'm going to repeat that on the right-hand side as well. From the neck again, I'm coming down once in the center with 2 black bands. And I'm then going to actually overlay some white in here. So we're taking let me just double check what I did. Yeah. So taking 2 white bands, you're going from the center second pin, or this, I'm not the second, but from that black where we ended off with, you're coming down once with 2 white bands. I'm then going from the shoulder peg at an angle, so the 6th left pin to the 7th center pin, I'm going to come off at an angle. And I want to do that going this way as well. So the 6th right pin to the center 7th pin at an angle. So you end up essentially making a Y out of your white bands. Then switching back to the red, I'm going to come down the center 2 more times with red bands. Now I'm switching over to neon green, so I want to come down the left-hand side 3 times with 2 neon green bands. And I'm going to repeat that on the right. And then I'm going to come down the center 2 times with neon green. And then taking 2 more neon green, and I'm going from the 2nd pin from the bottom on the left at an angle to the 2nd pin from the bottom in the center, so at an upward angle. And I'm going to do that again on this side. And I'm then going to finish off these the bottom left and the bottom right with 2 black bands. And this is what we should have. Now we're going to go ahead and add in some of our attachment pieces. So we're going to start with the horns. Those are going on the top left and top right pins. So you just take them and hook them over each peg. For the base of the legs, we're going to put our feet. Remember that we talked about which way is top and bottom. So if the orange is going over, that's the bottom. We want them to be facing up when we place them down on the bottom 2 pegs. We're going to take her arms and place those on her 2 shoulder pegs. And we can also go ahead and place the bow on the center top peg. We're going to want to place some crossover bands, and we'll put our eyes in place as well. So at the top, 2nd pin down, I'm taking a single black and creating a triangle. Then switching over to my skin tone, taking a single skin tone band on those 3rd pins and the 4th pins as well. To do the eyes, I'm just taking a single black band and my 2 pony beads, and I'm just going to feed that through the center. And these will be placed on the second pin down, straight across. And I'm just going to separate them, grabbing that center band and pulling it up and over the second center pin. Now we also have a final piece to create here, which is her dress attachment. So the way that it's going to hook is a little bit weird, but I'm going to go ahead and try and show you how to do this. Let's see here. I created on the loom, so we're just going to make sure all of these bands are pushed down. You can create it right over top of what you're doing. Just be careful when you're looming that you don't grab, you know, the bands from the body. I guess thinking back, I probably could have showed you how to do this beforehand, but if I did that, it requires a lot more holding hooks, and I don't know how many hooks people have or what they're using to hold things. So there's too many open ends on the dress extension that, you know, if you didn't have enough hooks with all the other accessory pieces that we created, it might cause a problem. So I'm going to show you how to create this on top of her body. So for the first dress attachment, we have two separate pieces to create. So I'll just pick any pins that you have some room to work with. I'm just going to work in this area here. So I'm taking 2 of the lime green bands, or neon green, and I'm just going to come down one time here. I'm then going to take 2 more, and I'm going from this pin at an angle up, just like that. And I'm going to do that again, going from this pin to this pin. So it's almost like a check mark. I'm then going to cap this off, creating 3 loops in this corner. So I'm going to go in, grabbing my first 2 neon green, holding my capping band down, and I'm going up at an angle. And I'm going to do that, go back in, grabbing the next 2 neon green. Those will go straight up. And then coming over here, I did that wrong. You want these 2 bands to be underneath these. Sorry about that. So just grab these with your hook and put them under. And then put these back on. I know you guys are probably irritated right now, sorry. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and hook that up as well. Now, because we're trying to give her that slight, she has one of those tighter skirts on that bulges at the bottom, we're now going to take this and move this. I'm going to want to take this piece, the shorter one, will be placed on this pin here. So second pin from the bottom. The longer piece is going to be placed on the 3rd pin from the bottom. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull these off. And remember which order I pulled them off. And I'm going to reattach them down here. So my longer piece went there, and my shorter one goes here. Just like that. So I'm going to do that again, but I'm going to do it the opposite direction. So now, this time I'll just work over here. I'm taking 2 neon greens, coming down once. And then, so I don't confuse you again, I'm going to go straight across. So the same pin I used here, I'm going to go over here and create an angle from here to here. And then I'm going to come down again from here to here. So now I'm at a backwards check mark. And I'm going to cap this off, creating 3 loops. And go in and loom this up. So when I go through the capping band, grabbing my first 2, they're going to go up at the angle. I can go ahead and grabbing those 2 neon green and pull those up as well. Going back through the capping band, grabbing my second 2 green and bringing those up. Now on this one, The shorter one will be placed on this left second from the bottom pin, and the longer one will be placed on the third from the bottom. I'm just going to turn my loom around here for a minute. And that is how we create her dress attachment. So now we're going to go back up and put our holding bands in place. So I'm going to the pegs directly below the arms with a single red. And this one, you're going to create a triangle, coming down again with another single red and another single red there. Switching over to the neon green, doing a single neon green and one more single down here. And this is what you should have. Now that all of her attachment pieces other than her mouth are in place, we are ready to begin the process of looping. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and begin the looping process. So we're going to start by going in through the bottom of the feet, hold the feet down, grabbing those two bands. We're going to bring them forward. We're going to go ahead and do that again on the other side. Oh, I caught that. Look, I'm missing a band. Her feet would have fallen off. Apparently I'm having looming issues today. Okay, going in, make sure you're going through all of the bands, grabbing only these bottom two neon green, or no, I'm sorry, not the bottom two, just this first set of neon green below the black. So I'm grabbing my first two, bringing those up and into the center. And I'm going to do that on the left as well. I'm then going to go straight up the center until I hit this white right here. So going through all of those, grabbing only the bottom two, neon green. And I'm going to stop there. I'm then going back down to the right, grabbing those bottom two neon green and bringing those up. I'm going straight up. And I'm going to stop on the actual arm peg itself and do that on the left as well. I am now going to go back to the center peg where I left off with my white, grabbing the first two, bringing those up, and mine go over to the right. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one, going up and to the left. And then I want to loop the outside before this inside black, because again, I want the black to be showing. So I'm going to go through the arm, make sure you're going through all of the bands for the arm, grabbing only the bottom two red, and bring those up into the center. I'm going to do the same thing over here on the left. And I'm now going to go in, grabbing my black and bringing that up into the center. Now I want to go through all of these bands, and remember the neck had 3 bands, so I want to make sure I'm grabbing all 3. And bringing those up into the center. I'm going to go in, grabbing my first 2 skin tone color bands, bringing those straight up, grabbing the next 2, they go to the right, and my next 2 go to the left, and we want to stop there. We're going to go ahead and push all of these down to make room for her mouth. So we're going to start by attaching the bottom. So grabbing the bottom piece, you'll see at the top you have 2 sets of 4 bands. These 4 bands here, these 4 are going to go on this 4th pin down on the right, and these 4 will go on the 4th pin down on the left. When you hook, you want to pull that center so it pulls up underneath this pin and moves out of the way. So I'm going to go ahead and hook these 4 bands. I'm going to pull down and around to the other pin, so it's pulled down underneath. Grabbing the top, this one has 3 sets of 4 bands. So these 4 here are going to go on this right 4th pin. The center 4 will go on the center 4th pin, and the left 4 will go on the left 4th pin. It's going to be really tight. There's a lot of bands on these outside pins, so just be careful that they don't pop back off on you. So there's the first 4. Try to straighten it out a little, otherwise when she comes off the loom, her snout could be twisted. Okay, once we've done that, I'm going to go ahead in through the center. I'm going to grab those bottom 2 skin bands that I have down there, if I can see them. I'm going to hold on to the nose so that nothing pops off, and I'm going to bring those up. I'm now going in on the right. Again, I'm only grabbing these bottom 2. So I'm going to push through all the bands, holding this down. And it's probably going to be extremely tight. This is where you could snap a band. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen that up now. I'm going to do the same thing over here on the left. And now we can go ahead and start looping up the rest. So I'm going to go in here on the right, and I'm just going to loop up the right hand side. I'm going to do that on the left side as well. And finishing off the center. Now I'm going to grab a single black band. I'm going to go through the top of her head and slip through the bottom, making sure to go through all the bands. Grabbing that black band, I'm going to pull it and feed it back through and pull it towards the top. Now, so that we're not just going over top of her bow, you're going to pull the bow up, and you'll see a hole here through the top. I'm going to slip through that hole to grab the back part of my slip knot and bring it forward. Go ahead and create the knot, and I'm going to pull that tight. Now if you want to, you can pull it back through now. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll just flip my loom over, pull my bow back out, go through that same hole, reclaim that side of my slip knot and pull it so it's at the back of her head. Now that we've done that, we can go ahead and take her off the loom. Okay, now that she is off, we're going to go ahead and fix her up some. So just pull her horns out a little bit and straighten out her bow. You can, to straighten out her mouth some, just stick your finger on the inside and kind of push up in the center just to fix the position of the mouth itself. Then you'll want to take your Sharpie, pushing down on the snout. I've done it before. I've actually drawn all over my snouts before, so I always try to push them down and draw on her pupils. Like that. And then if you want, you can flip her over, take your hook to hide the slip knot into the back of her head somehow. I'm sure you have a preference as to how you like to do it. It's not one that's too hard to hide. But that is how you create Clarabelle the cow. Her skirt, if it doesn't look poofy, just grab the corners and pull out on the two edges. That's how you would correct that. I do hope that you like her. Don't forget to subscribe for updates on my future videos. And have a good day, guys.